Prepare the dial blanks, so to speak, the dial blanks that have been engraved. We're getting ready to prepare them for the engraver's wax to fill the engraving spaces. So I'm starting off with a second dial, and I've already pretty much cleaned it up. I'm using my double tape method with the super glue, and it's attached with two little pieces of tape and super glue to the faceplate on the TAG lathe. So it's 3.5 inches in diameter, and I think the faceplate is probably about 3 inches in diameter. And this worked really nicely, and I'm not going to demonstrate it at this point because I'm going to take this off of here and put the this is the second dial, so I'm going to put the hour dial on next and prepare that. Actually, the preparation work only took like 5 minutes. Didn't take any time at all. I hit it with some emery that I have, maybe 250 or something, and then I hit it with a piece of maroon colored Scotch-Brite. So, well, at least I call it Scotch-Brite. So anyway, I'm going to start the lathe, and just all I did was just do it by hand right now, and I just to run the Scotch-Brite across it, and it just polished it up beautifully. And also I have a circular brushed pattern in it. So this might be a little bit, I might want it a little bit more brushed than this, but I can decide that later. I'm just right now, I want to clean it up. I cleaned up all the edges of it, you know, and the back I'm not worried about. It doesn't show, it's not important. So, and it's actually in pretty good shape. So that's what I'm doing. I lined it up initially with the live center and the tailstock. So that's what I did, and I'll just show you. So this should line up, right? And then I put some pressure on it with the live center for a few minutes till the glue took hold, and then just run the center back and run the tailstock out of the way. So that's what I did. Very simple. And get the cross slide out of the way, and we got plenty of room to work here to do what we need to do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the faceplate off the lathe and set it up with a couple new pieces of tape, and fix a couple pieces of tape to the back of the hour dial, and then I will show you you know, how we did it. So, and also I will use the piece of emery and the Scotch-Brite on the hour dial. So there's no sense doing both of them on video, so I'm just going to do one. So with that, I'm going to I'll be back in just a minute here. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I'm back. So you can see the faceplate right here. Okay, and just two little pieces of tape on there. Of course, I cleaned it well before that. And then also, here's the back of the hour dial, and two little pieces of tape on that, and some glue. Now the glue is not going to do anything until it's pressed against the faceplate. So We're going to hold it on the two outer edges. We have the mounting holes to go by, and we're just going to take and tighten up the tailstock. There we go. Now we've got it in place. And it looks like it's making contact all the way around. So make sure it's good and tight. And we'll let that sit for a few minutes. So we'll be back in, well, I don't know, 5 minutes or so after that's set up. And I'll show you what I did to the other dial to make it look pretty. Now it doesn't have to look pretty at this point, but what I'm going to do now is wash it and make sure it's good and clean, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the engraving wax, and then we'll have to go through this process one more time. And then after that we'll have two nice pretty dials that we should be able to clear lacquer. So that's the plan. And so this is my first time at this, so this is probably, I'm the only one that does it this way, so because I'm kind of, this is kind of flying by the seat of your pants here. So let me shut the camera off for a second, and I'll be back just in a few minutes when this glue hardens up. Okay, back again. I've been gone for about 10 or 15 minutes, I guess. I went in the house and had a bite to eat. It's lunchtime, or 2 o'clock, I guess, here in Southern California. So, hopefully, got that glued on there. I'll wind the tailstock back here. I know you can't see that. It's not in the, you can't see that in the viewer. Okay, get the cross slide out of the way. Shove it back. And so here we go. Now this is what I did to the other one exactly. So this part isn't necessary, but it's serves two purposes. One is that I tried sanding this thing or using some very fine wet and dry on it in one direction, and I wasn't satisfied with that. And I've always thought that if I'm going to have a brushed look to it, that it should be circular. So I figured the lathe was the hot tip to do this, and this is my solution to that. Also, the edge of this is, you know, you can see the end mill ran around here, so it's not as smooth as I'd like it. And I see I got a little piece of tape hanging over, but that'll be all right. And so I have like 3 reels of this emery that I use for some polish work. This is the finest grit. I don't know what this is, but as I recall, yeah, I don't know. You know, it's pretty fine though. Maybe a couple hundred, 240. I don't know. Anyway. This is what I did before. I just used my hand right now, and crank the speed up a little bit, I guess. And it just took a couple little passes. And actually, I wanted to make sure there was no cross sanding marks in here from before either. So this is all I did. Maybe get a fresh spot here. I just folded it over. And I kind of cleaned up the edge a little bit. A little bit cleaned up the corners. Really you don't need to put any pressure on it at all. And if there turns out to be any cross sanding marks, we can get them on the next go around. That's about all I did. I didn't spend more than 5 minutes on this. Then a piece of this Scotch-Brite, not even a new piece, it's an old piece that I've had laying around here. That's it. I don't really think that I can get it any better. We're going to mess it all up again with the Engravers wax, so. But you can see, let me see if I can, I don't know if I can zoom in on that or not. Maybe sometimes you can't zoom in very far. But that's pretty clear. You can see what I did. So now I'm going to take this off the faceplate, and I'm going to I'm going to get some tongs out here. I got to go someplace and pick up. I got some tongs someplace that I can hold this with, and I'm going to hold it over some mild heat. Maybe I'll use the little butane torch, and just heat a section at a time and try to melt that wax into those into that engraving. Before I do that, I'm going to take these and take some detergent and make sure they're good and clean front and back, and then we'll go from there and see how it works out. You know, your guess is as good as mine at this point. So okay, I'll call off now, and I'll be back. Maybe during the next step here. I don't think this video's too long so far, so we can probably add the next step in here. And then we'll have to, once we melt the Engravers wax and let it harden up good, then we'll go through this sanding process again. And the next time I'll put the paper on a flat stick or something, that we can make sure that we keep a flat surface on the face of the dial. That way, you know, the depth of we won't take gouges out of it or anything. So the depth will be consistent for the engraving. So it should look right. We'll see. Anyway, I'll call off now, and I'll be back in a few here. Okay. The next step I've kind of completed. I didn't do it on camera, but I will explain it. It's a very simple step, only takes a few minutes. Let's see if I can put the viewer around here so I'm not getting my hands in the way. Okay, so what I did, you can see this is the dial that I haven't done anything with yet. This here is the Engravers wax. It's black. This is a butane torch. So I turned the flame down as low as I could get it. It takes literally nothing to heat the aluminum. So actually this might be a little robust for the job. I would think that an alcohol lamp would probably work better. So next time I will use the alcohol lamp to do it. But that said, that's what I did on this one. I have a pair of like forceps that I could hold this with, and just heat the underside of it slightly. Actually, if you can heat, just go like this a few times, you get half of it heated. And then I just, the wax I just dabbed on until the grooves were full. And hopefully I did get the grooves full. It's a little hard to tell right now because the dabbed on stuff is on either side of the groove, and it's a little bit higher, but I think in reality the groove is full. So the next step is, once the wax hardens, then I will put the tape back on it, just like I did before. Put it on the lathe and clean the excess wax off and give it a little brush finish. After that, try not to get my fingerprints on it too much, and you know, clean it a little bit with some type of detergent or something, and then I'll clear lacquer it. I don't have any clear lacquer right now. I don't think, but I'll look through my inventory and see what I have. But I'll just put a coat of clear lacquer on it. I'll probably use a spray can. You can rub on some clock dial lacquer. I think it comes in a bottle. You use a cotton swab. You can do it that way too. So anyway, that's the next step. I'll bring you back once the wax hardens and I put this back on the lathe. And that shouldn't be very long. I don't know how fast the aluminum will cool, but the wax cools very fast. So with that, I'll call off again, and we'll move on to the next step. And I'm not going to do both dials on camera, so I'm just going to do one. So this will be the final. The next segment will be the final segment, and then the second dial I'll do off camera. So that's it. I'll call off now. Okay, I'm back. It's only been a few minutes. The wax hardens pretty fast. Not sure how this is going to work. I'm afraid that the waxy substance is going to gum up the sandpaper. So I don't know how that's going to work out. Super glue dries fast, and I had a little scrap of 260 brass laying around. So what I did is I just put a piece of masking tape on one side of it, little super glue, and stuck this piece of emery to it. So I don't know how that's going to work out. It might dig in. I don't know. We could ruin a dial. I'm going to turn the speed way down right now. Fill up the paper pretty fast. You can't clean the paper, so that's not a good deal. This is pretty fine paper. Maybe that's somewhat of a mistake. You can see it fills up the paper really fast. Shut that off. Okay, I hate to use too heavy a paper on that. I have a piece of, I know this is 250. I just hold a piece of that on there and see what happens. That other might be just a piece of wet and dry 250. I know what this is. Just fills it up. Only been a few minutes. Could be the wax isn't hard enough, or it could be this isn't going to work. I may have to do something a little bit different. Of course, if I use wet and dry somehow, I can probably it just fills that paper up. Okay, let me shut the camera off till I see if I can get this figured out. Okay, I'm back. It's been 10 or 15 minutes. Took some doing to get that off. So I don't know what I'm going to do on the next one. I don't like what I had to do here, but it worked. I had some 120 emery that I just kept changing spots on. And you know, it seems like the more I change spots, the wax got more brittle. So maybe I just didn't wait long enough for it to harden up. I don't know. Anyway, the engraving came out beautiful. So I'm quite happy with that. I love the circular brush pattern. And I think I finished it with some, whatever this is. This is like, you know, 250 or something. And then I used the Scotch-Brite on it. And I think it's going to come out just fine, just peachy keen. So I'm happy with that. This method. You know, I probably could take this dial and just wet and dry it with a block initially to get the excess off, because any cross sanding, when you put it on the lathe, that comes out quite easily. So actually this is not a bad process. It seems to work. I got some dust from the wax, but other than that, it's not too messy either. So anyway, that's where I'm at. This dial's, I'll clean it up and lacquer it, and move on to the next dial, which is exactly the same process. So there's no sense showing this on camera. So I'll call off now, and we'll post this on YouTube as a follow-up on the last couple videos concerning the dial, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.